Hi, my name is Zach Riley. I work for SAC Consulting, but we're here with one of our Farmers for Better Climate Soil Regenerative Agriculture group members, Ben Barron. We're at Leitfie Farms today on quite a windy day, and we're here to look at some of Ben's winter wheat and how he's changed the establishment methods over the past couple of years. Ben, would you mind telling us a little bit about the farm?
Yep, we're a mixed beef and arable, lowland mixed beef and arable unit. We've been no-tilling and regen ag for 7 years now. It's been a long learning process, but we're getting there now. But we're constantly tweaking the system to try and improve what we're doing. We're running a fairly low input system, so everything else has to be spot on. Rotations have to be correct. Establishment has to be correct before we can get the right results. But yeah, like I say, we're tweaking constantly. We're going to have a look at the wheat today that's in this field, and yeah, we'll go from there.
So your wheat crop then, how often are you putting that in your rotation?
Wheat's going in twice in a 9-year rotation after beans.
After beans both times?
Yes.
Or just the first time? So
Both times.
it's always after beans. A lot of people say that beans are quite a late harvest. How are you finding that here at Leitfie?
Generally, we're growing winter beans. They are generally harvested last week of September, first week of October is where we've generally been harvesting. So it's not too bad. It's generally manageable, and we don't have huge areas of it, so it's not too bad. And there's no residue to deal with. You can go straight in behind the beans with the direct drill to get your wheat established. So we started off with a fairly basic drill, running a narrow 1 inch wide point, and we're running about 200 mil row centers.
Okay.
I did struggle with that drill in the transition period. Part of that was just my soil transitioning, and part of it was the drill not really being a heavyweight or heavy enough piece of kit.
Okay.
So we started with that drill. We then last year upgraded to a much heavier duty drill. It's been a modified machine converted to run no-till, and we're running at 250 millimeter row spacing with a 12 mil knife point, which gives us very low disturbance, very little soil moved. But what we've found is that although there's a lot of space between the rows and lots of room for plants to expand out into, the crowding in the row itself is causing a huge problem.
Okay.
Even though there's plenty of room at the side, the fact the plants are touching very close end to end seems to have the same effect. They're not spreading out into that gap, and we're really having a lot of trouble trying to fill that gap and get complete crop cover to suppress the weeds. So yeah, this year we changed to a wing point, 100 mil wide wing point instead of the knife point. I still use my knife point for beans, oilseed rape, but the wing point we're going to use for cereals, and we're trialing it this year, or this autumn with the wheat. So the wing point's 100 mil, sows in a 100 mil band, which gives me 100 mil of crop, 150 mil of gap, 100 mil of crop again. And that 150 mil gap's the same as we had on our old Power Harrow one-pass system. So we should be in a better position for getting canopy cover, etc., for weed suppression. The other thing we're seeing as well is the plants are healthier, they've got more room, they're not crowded in that narrow row that we had before. So we're hoping that this is going to give us a far better crop at the end of the day and really help to boost our yields as we're going forward, because establishment has been one of the big challenges that we've had to date. So this looking at it at this stage, it looks considerably different to the plants that were in that narrow, tight row. So the other thing that's happening is we're getting a little bit of cultivation, not a lot, just a small amount, which is, I think, also helping us just get the plant up and going. It's only, I mean, it's just moving the soil in that 100 mil strip, nothing else. The bits between are still untouched. It's also giving me a little bit of movement of the soil, which will help the leveling process, which you need in a no-till system. Your fields need to be pretty level to get the system to work properly. So that's where we are. It's early days, but the crops are looking good. Good establishment compared to what we had before. The field's complete. There's no gaps. There's no missed bits that just haven't come away, and the plants look much healthier in that better environment, and they're a bit more spread out. So yeah, that's where we're up to, and we'll keep an eye on it as we go forward.
So expanding a little bit on the plant spacing in your bands, Ben,
Yeah.
what seed rates were you using before, and have you adapted that going forward given the new drill system that you're using?
No, I'm pretty much still running the same seed rates I ran in a conventional system. So for instance, the winter wheat, we're sowing at 200 kilos a hectare, which is pretty much, it's another thing I didn't want to start, something I didn't need to change, so I'm just keeping that thing as a constant, and then we can go from there. But yes, in those narrow rows, it was too much. And if I reduced it, I think it would have, certainly here, would have too few plants going forward into the spring. So just giving them that bit extra space and keeping that seed rate the same looks like it's going to work this year. So
excellent. You've been known before to mix varieties. Is that something that you're continuing to do?
Yep. So this is a new three-way mix in here this year. 3 new varieties. There's Stokes, Bairstow, and Red Walled is the other one.
Bought-in seed that you've mixed in shed or into the drill?
So it's all bought-in seed, all certified seed, coming in with a sort of manganese and trace element package on the seed. I just mix it by dropping different bags into the drill, and then it mixes through the drill. It's not a homogeneous mix by any means. It's just whatever's running through the drill at the time, which, from what I remember of being told at the institute, that was the way to do it. You don't want a homogeneous mix. It should be a sort of slightly blocky mixture in the field.
Yeah. Definitely, just for that disease management to stop it spreading through the crop. When we talk about mixing different varieties, there's obviously a marketing element, which is less important for a feed wheat, but people can also raise concerns about the harvest date of those mixes. Have you found any difference with the different varieties in the field ripening at different stages?
I haven't done to date. It's all just been ready at the same time, and again, that's what we were told that would be the case, that once you start growing the same thing or different varieties in the same field, they all start to come together at the same time. I'm sure if you picked 2 extremes from the recommended list, you might get some issues there, but I've certainly not seen anything in the field.
Excellent. So going back 7 seasons, what would you do differently if you were starting out today?
What would I do differently? Probably do it in a more gentle approach. I jumped straight in, went from ploughing to no-till in one go, and reduced all my fertilizers and chemicals at the same time. So, in hindsight, I don't think I've got there any quicker than I would have done had I just reduced everything gradually. My theory at the time was we would get to the end point quicker, but I don't think there is an end point. I think it's a constant evolving process where you're adapting what you do all the time. So yes, I think a gentler approach so that we didn't have the yield losses and the sort of overall production losses and financial losses that we did by going straight in one go. Although it was none of it was drastic because our inputs were cut, it still could have been done better by doing it in a more gradual approach. And knowing what I know now, it'd be very easy looking back to map that out opposed to what we did. So, but it's all a good learning process.
Good learning process. Brilliant.